Today we're going to be adding obstacles to our second level of the game. So firstly we need a maze. So we're going to go into the ground tool, pick a different colour if we'd like, and paint. Remembering that we can make our brush bigger by pressing the left and right arrows. So right arrow to make it bigger. That looks like a good size, and a little bit more at the end should be enough. Rotate to see if it is. I think that will be better because our second stage, remember, is going to be longer and more complicated. So we need to now add our maze in by using the path tool. Remember, when we make our paths, make them nice and wide so our characters can fit through them. Otherwise it gets a bit tedious if we need to edit it later. So nice and wide. It's easy to get through. Okay, so we're back to the start. Now we need to turn it into some walls, so we're going to hold the shift key so they all blink, and then press the up or down arrows to change the type of wall that we have. So finding one that we like, and if we want we can also now right click. If we right click we'll get a change height, and we can make them a little bit taller. 2 meters is usually good enough, if not we can always change it later. Also we can change the colour by using the left and right arrow keys. I think right stands out on this one, so we'll go with that. Now that we have a maze, we need some characters. So we're going to click the character tool, and remembering we need to click on the maze for it to appear. So we're going to put our character at the start here. I think we'll go with the rover this time. And now we need something for our rover to find. Go into the objects and we'll have him find a star this time. If we want, we can change the colour of the star. Might make that green so it stands out, and we can also change the size to make it bigger so we don't miss it. So we might make it twice as big so we won't miss it. We also can see that our rover is also a little bit big for this maze, so instead of redoing the whole maze we can actually shrink him down to make him fit a lot easier. So just right click, go to change size, and we might make him just a tiny bit smaller. That'll do. So now that we've got our maze prepared, we're ready to start adding some obstacles to it. There are several kinds of obstacles we can add to our maze, such as holes with water, which is probably the most popular one. We can also add some objects for our character to dodge or jump over, and we can also make some hills for our character to jump over or drive over. So we're going to start firstly with the water holes. So at the moment if we click water, we'll see that the whole land is covered in water. That's because we have a very flat landscape at the moment. So if we undo that, we need to raise the land, because if we go take a look, it's a very thin land at the moment. It's only one layer deep. So to raise the land, we need to go back to our up and down tool. Similar to the ground tool, where you see it has a flashing square. If we make it bigger by pressing the right arrow, keep doing this until the whole map is done. That way it'll go up in size all in one turn. We might need to change our camera to make sure we cover it all. Let's see. So now if we left click, our whole land will start to rise or get thicker. So let's see. So, as you saw, the ground is now thicker, which means we can then dig smaller holes into it to make pits. So, let's change our view. We're going to give our little robot a bit of a run up so he can make it over the jump. So to dig a hole, we're going to use the same tool. Obviously we're going to shrink it because we don't want to take that much land away. And we want to keep it in between the wall here. So there's a wall here and our other wall is here. So we don't want to go outside there. So best to make it small so we know he can jump over it. We can always make it bigger later, which is easier. Now to make a hole, we right click and it will start digging. Holding down until it gets to the bottom. So if we do that, we should now have a hole. As we can see there. Ooh, we missed a bit, so we'll go back and get that last little bit. Alright, so we have an empty hole. Now we can go back and add some water. If we go to the water tool, we can even change the colour of the water if we like. Try some black water, see what that looks like. And now we need to click inside the hole. If we click anywhere else, it will fill like so, which is not what we want. So we're going to undo. So we need to click inside that hole and it will start filling up. Fill it about 3/4 because if you fill it too much, it will flood like before, as you can see now. So we're going to undo that and just fill in the hole. So you might need to zoom in, and that should be enough. And that's how we create water. The next kind of obstacle we can use to slow down our character is to put some objects in. This is fairly easy, so we're going to put some objects in this middle section after we get over the water. So to put some objects, we're going to click the object tool and we need to click on the map where we want our objects to go. So I'm going to make a bit of a zigzag for my character to weave in and out of. So we're going to put something here. So we can put lots of different things for our character to go around. We could use trees, pipes, some of the underwater objects such as the grass and stuff is usable. And we also have rocks which we're going to use now. All different kinds of rocks, doesn't really matter which kind you use. So we're going to click. At the moment the rock's a little bit small. We can make it bigger by right clicking on it. So if we change the size, we can make them bigger so they're harder to get around. We might make them really big. If you want, you can also change the colour of the rocks by using the left and right arrows. Let's have brown rocks, our original. And then we can keep adding them in so our character has to go in a zigzag or between them. So adding another rock. Remembering we're going to change the size so that a bit more in the way. We might make it really big or slightly big. So we're going to get to zigzag through. So try another rock and make that one bigger. We might change the colour of that one too, so just popping our mouse over it, might have a blue rock, purple, and we might put one more here just to complete the zigzag. Try an unknown rock, whatever that is. Again, change the size. That way we're going to have our character go in, out, and out. Let's see if we can... And a green rock, why not? So that's how we do mazes. You could do the same thing with all the other objects that I mentioned, such as trees and things like that. Though they can kind of get in the way of your vision. So, we've made a zigzag for our robot to get past, but we can also add an object in for him to jump over. So if we click where we want our object to go, so we're going to experiment with a pipe to jump over. So we're going to click our pipe and it's going to go in. As you can see, we might not want it to go that way, so we need to right click and rotate it to get it on the angle that we like. That looks about how I want it. Now we can take a view of it to see if it's how tall it is. I think our character should be able to jump over that. If it can't, we can always change the size of it to make it easier for our character to jump over. So that's how we add in some of those obstacles. The last kind of obstacle we can add in is some hills. So we're going to add some hills right here in this narrow corridor. To do that, we need to raise the land. So we're going to do that by going with our up and down tool. So making sure it's an appropriate size and between here and here. So we could make it a little bit bigger. That way it gets everywhere we need it to be. And then we click with our left mouse button. Though you need to be careful, if you hold it too quickly it'll get too steep too soon and you won't be able to get over it. So just short clicks to make a bit of a ramp kind of shape. If it's too steep, we can smoothen it out. So at the moment it looks a bit like steps that we'd have to jump over. So let's smooth them out using this tool. Again, similar to our brush. To make it smooth, we need to left click, which will then smooth it out, which will be easier for our character to get over. If we look at that now, we probably need to do a little more around here, so we'll go back, left click to smooth it out. That way it's a gentle hill. If we want, we could raise it just a bit and double check it. That looks alright. If not, we can always go back and check it. So that's how we add some hills into our level. Now you could use a combination of all these tools to make even trickier obstacles. So we're going to be a little bit mean. Let's squeeze one last obstacle in here. So this one we're going to go back to making a pit. So we're going to go to our up and down tool, shrink it to a small size so we don't have a lot of space, and remember we're going to right click to make our hole. So about there I think would be good, and also moving across. So we might need to undo that. Make sure our views a bit, and we'll go back and try again. So, right clicking to dig our hole for the water. Yep, so it goes all the way across so that we can't go around. Oh, we might need a little bit there. Go back and take a tiny bit off. Now we can add in the water. And you can actually have a different colour water for each hole. So you might try this gold looking water. Remember to click inside the hole. Fill it up a little bit. And then we have our trap. If we want to make it trickier or fancier, we can add some objects inside the water for it to jump over. So if we click inside and try some of these underwater objects, we can add some seagrass. We can change the colour. You could have some black seagrass or some purple seagrass. It's up to you. You can also rotate it if it's not facing the way you want it to, so that might be a bit better. And you might also want to change the size of this a little bit to make it look like you've got to jump really high over it. So let's leave it at that. And now we have completed our maze, complete with obstacles. Next time we're going to program how to play the game and